are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these jewels, any of these gems that are coming to you. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google, make sure you are locked in and download, y'all. Download these episodes so you don't miss a thing. And we want you to get all this information that we have bringing to you, all the coaches that we bring on. So today, tribe, I want to talk a little bit about misplaced gifts. Yeah, misplaced gifts. As many of you know, I'm kind of leaning into uh, gift coaching. I really haven't dubbed a name for it. I'm a self-discovery coach, but also I'm leaning into helping people uh, optimize their gift by maximizing their creativity. And one of my friends has kind of dubbed me, I'm the gift opener. I have a way of creative directing people's gifts and talents in a way that they kind of maximize them to their full extent. Because I truly believe that the reason that God gives us gifts and talents is so that we're able to do that. And when I say gifts, I'm not talking necessarily about spiritual gifts, even though a lot of the things that we do naturally does flow out of the spiritual gift that God has given us. So I'm just talking generally more of a gifting in the realm of a talent, right? In the realm of a talent. So I want to talk today about misplaced gifts. Misplaced gifts. And I like to call this the Jay-Z effect, right? It has a lot to do with clarity and understanding kind of where you are, who you are, so you can understand how your gift works, right? And I call this the Jay-Z effect when I usually talk about misplaced gifts. So a few years ago, I used to do prison ministry with my spiritual father, and I did it for about I think it was about 3 or 4 years or so. So we would go into this program. It was it was a manhood and growth program. We would go into it and we would kind of mentor and teach these men who have been incarcerated, who made some mistakes, who are trying to kind of regain and get their life back, right? From what it is that they were in there for. So, one of the things whenever we start the program, I think it was like 8 weeks or so, 8 to 12 weeks or so. Whenever it was kind of my time to teach or give my presentation, the first thing I would start off with is dealing with misplaced gifts. Is dealing with misplaced gifts, and the reason for that being is many people. I recognized one thing the first time that I started listening to the reason why some of them were incarcerated, and I was like, if they would have just used that talent or that gifting in a different way, they wouldn't even be in that situation. What do I mean by that? So many times I would ask them, I just ask them, what are you good at? What are you good at? Because my spiritual father, who was the lead of the class, he would usually start off, tell me who you are, and they would give their name, and I'm so and so from this place, and they'll talk about how they got to the city that we were currently in, which is Wichita, Kansas. Or if they grew up there, or by way where they came, what they like, if they're in the sports, and that's how they will be defined. And then my spiritual father, he was, no, tell me who you really are. So when he started doing that, it started getting me thinking, because you cannot separate who you are from the gifting and the talents that God has placed in you. In fact, one of my mentors puts it this way. He puts it this way: you can't chase identity and purpose at the same time, and your purpose is tied to your gifts and your talents. There's no way around it. For those who are in the faith community, we know this. Before I formed in your mother's womb, I knew you, right? The Jeremiah passage, right? So we know that God has given us specific things that we're supposed to use and optimize in the earth, all right? Because our gifts and talents are not for us. They're for us to help other people. We're the CEOs of them, but they're there for us to help other people maximize and optimize their lives in various areas. So when they started talking, I would get up, when it was my time, and I would just, ask them, "What are you good at? What are you good at?" And some would say, or I would ask, "What are you in here for?" I would ask, "What are you in here for?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm in here because of car theft." Okay, or I'm in here because I was a drug dealer, or I'm in here because domestic violence issue with a woman, or whatever the case may be. I'm in here for whatever reason it was. And then I started to think, and I asked him to explain something to me. I said, okay, explain to me how a drug dealer works, how being a drug dealer works. And they would go through the process of explain to me, well, this is some, with full disclosure, some of them be like, okay, I mean, some of them have the street mentality. Man, I can't tell you all the tricks of the trade. I don't know if it's a sting operation. I was like, okay, whatever you feel comfortable telling me, just tell me. Which it really didn't matter because y'all is in here talking to me. I'm helping y'all, but anyway, so I was like, so tell me, I was like, oh yeah, so I would set up on this corner, and then I would have one phone for my for the distro, and I have another phone for my people that was working under me, and what we would do is, I would have them call me on this phone for this issue, and I would tell them if the block was hot, I would tell them, okay, go to this corner and operate this way, and if the streets was working, there was too many cops on the streets and things like that, I said we're gonna cool out today, and then when it came to distributing the wealth and all that. This person, because of their position, got this percentage, and this person got this percentage. I was like, okay, tell me another tell me another, occupation that you can do that requires the same abilities and the same talents. And they would kind of get stumped a little bit. They were like, I don't know what you mean. No. How else can you use everything that you told me? Where else can you use that at in a legal way? Sometimes the room would get quiet, and they was like, I'm just confused. I said, because it sounds like to me you're supposed to be a manager. It sounds like to me you belong in the corporate world. It sounds like to me you're a CEO because everything you just described are all the things that managers do, that CEOs do, that administrators do. So you're using your gift in the wrong way. So I asked another person. I asked him, okay, so what are you in here for? Oh man, I'm in here for car theft and things of that nature. And I said, okay, tell me how that works. I said, oh yeah, when you want to break down the car, usually we will chop the car up, and I know this piece goes here, and I can look at a car and tell what it's going to go for, and so forth and so on. I look in the car and say, okay, if it has this type of system going on the dashboard, and I know, okay, this it's gonna go for this amount of money. If I look at the rims and the tires, I'll say, okay, tell me another occupation you can use that same mindset in. Sometimes it'll be quiet again, and then sometimes people start to get it. They'll be like, So yeah, because it sounds like to me you're a mechanic. It sounds like to me you know cars well, right? So maybe I'm confused, and then the light switch goes on. It'll be another person. Oh, I could talk people into anything, man. I can, I was the one that they came to when it came to negotiating, deals and things. I'll say, okay, it sounds like you're a car dealership, a car. You should be a car salesman rather, right? So I tell y'all that to say many times they have misplaced gifts. A lot of the individuals that are in prison for, you know, uh, things that they were like selling drugs and stealing cars and all those type of things of that nature. I'm not talking about the extreme stuff like first degree murder, obviously, but things of that nature. It's because they were using their gift the wrong way. Their gift was misplaced. That's why I call it the Jay-Z effect. Why do I call it the Jay-Z effect? Well, it's public knowledge. What was Jay-Z's uh main form of attaining income before he became a rapper? We all know this, right? He sold drugs. He's been on the record saying, "Oh yeah, this is what I did. This is what I did." Right? What was Rick Ross? Rick Ross did the same thing. What did Jeezy do? Young Jeezy. Jeezy did the same thing. What are they all doing right now? They're businessmen. They all have businesses. They all have business portfolios. They have land. They have real estate. They're operating their own companies. Why? Because the light switch went on and said, hold on. If I could do this here, then I know I can do it in this arena. right? Their gifts was that's why I call it the Jay-Z effect. And I'm not getting into the reason why. I'm not That's not what I'm talking about. We know the socioeconomic reason for why people do some of those things. And I'm not trying to get into that. I'm just talking about understand if the light switch goes on, if the light switch can come on sooner than later, many times we save ourselves headaches and wasted time. Many times we will save ourselves headaches and wasted time if we can get the light switch to go on, to go off sooner than later, right? The Jay-Z effect, misplaced gifts. Jay-Z's a billionaire. And I'm telling you, all the same things all the same principles, baseline principles that he was using to sell drugs made him a billionaire. It's just facts. The baseline principles, the baseline of sales, marketing, pitch, uh, putting money in the right places, having the right people around you, your team, the basic principles, they're all the same for him as a billionaire in the corporate world right now. Misplaced gifts. So I want to kind of peel back the curtain on this idea of making sure that you're in the right place, that your gifting is being used the right way. Now, let me say this. Let me say this. Many times, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, because some of you are gonna ask, well, how do I know that I'm using my gift the right way? You just gotta do something. You just gotta do something you like, right? Do something you like. Okay, if you have a passion for writing, try to start writing. Start writing. Right? Why do I say that? If you have a passion for music and you can sing, just start singing. Start recording. See what happens. Film yourself doing it. Post the content. Right? Why do I say that? And this requires a little bit of bravery as well. Right? So, because why do I say that? Because we are in what I like to call, we're in the right room, but we're not sitting at the right table. What do I mean by that? I'm saying is, so if let's say I love music, I can sing, I can write, I can produce, I can do it all. So let's say, okay, I'm gonna just sing. I'm gonna try to go the artist route and sing. Okay. Well, if I'm singing and I'm creating records and I'm posting video clips of me, my vocal ability, and it's not catching, and it's not getting the traction that I expected to get, I'm not saying stop. I'm saying pay attention to that. All right. So if I start writing music for other people and they're singing my lyrics, but it's blowing up, pay attention to that. All right. If I'm producing music, all right, and my beats are taking off, pay attention to that. Or if they're not taking off, or if the songs I'm writing to people they don't want to use, but yet when I'm singing, my views are skyrocketing. My streams are skyrocketing. Pay attention to that. Because a lot of times what happens is we get in the way of our passions. I mean, we get in the way of our gifting. We allow passion, I'll put it that way. We allow passion to get in the way of our gifting because we may be a gifted songwriter and not as gifted of a singer, but we love singing so much that we miss that our songwriting can actually be the thing that takes us in and propels us to the levels that we're trying to get to. But we're so hyper focused on being a singer. You see it in sports all the time. You really do. You see it in sports all the time. um, and for any athletes listening to me, you see it all the time. Particularly, like I see a lot of times in football because now basketball has become more or less a positionless sport, right? But in football, you see somebody who played quarterback their whole life. They're up to college, right? And they play quarterback, and then they realize that they're talented. Scouts realize that they're talented, but just not as talented as a quarterback. The first person that comes to mind is Tim Tebow. Now, Tim Tebow is a success story, obviously, and I mean, I can't really speak on. I've never played in the NFL or anything like that, but I know what my eyes tell me, and I know what everybody else who are smarter than me at that level, are saying and telling me. So he was, you know, he was not letting go of the quarterback tag, right? He would not let go of the quarterback tag. Except a lot of people, even a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers, it's like, okay, we really think you can play it. We really think you can be a tight end or fullback, but he just was not letting go of the court. He wanted to be a QB in the NFL. Now, I'm a man of faith as well, and people who know Tim Tebow know he's a man of faith, and he does a lot of things in the faith community, and kudos to him for that. But I'm a man of faith as well, and if I know sometimes we have to rely on have the faith in the Bible. You know, the Bible says we walk by faith and not by sight, and things like. But the Bible also tells us it's the heart of God to conceal a matter, but it's the heart of a king to search it out. What do I mean by that? If everybody is telling me, like, look, the way the quarterback position is trending, you're just not there. But this is a position that you can thrive at if you just change your position and you do it soon enough. You can have some longevity in your career. I'm probably going to listen to the wisdom of everybody else around me saying the same thing. It probably makes so if somebody is telling you, like, dude, let's use basketball. So if somebody is saying, okay, you're not an NBA player. If everybody's saying you're not an NBA player, but you're like, I'm passionate, I'm about to get into the NBA player. But it's like, bro, like, you 175, 160 pounds soaking wet and can't jump. And oh, by the way, you're only 5'4". Like, NBA is not like it's going to be a hard path for you, right? But they're telling you, but they're saying your IQ for the game is off the charts. You might want to consider going the coaching route. And if everybody around me is saying that, though we have to have discernment, and though we have to make sure that we're hearing, this is why I can't separate my coaching from the faith, is because I believe in order for us to optimize our gifts and talents and maximize the creativity to carry them out, you have to have a faith-based foundation, because you need that discernment. You need to know when God is speaking to you and say, okay, do this, go this route, take that road, right? Walk through that door. And sometimes he'll do that through voices around us, voices that we trust around us, right? So many times, a lot of us end up in positions where we're wasting time, and we're wasting our talents because we refuse to capitulate and to give up something that we're so passionate about to really do what God wants us to do, or really that's within the wheelhouse of our purpose, right? And this is one of the reasons I believe Tim Tebow's football career was cut really short, because a lot of people were saying he could be a great fullback and tight end, and he probably would have had a long. And for somebody who's played the quarterback, he would know what the quarterback is thinking when he's running those routes, and could have made a great career out of it. I honestly think, he could have been Travis Kelce before Travis Kelce, if he would have accepted the position change. Now, he did have some success as a QB, very minimum. And this, uh, for people of faith, come here. This is how the devil tricks us, right? This is how the devil tricks us, because God wants us to get to our maximum point, our optimal ability in our talents and our gifts. So what the devil does is he lets us experience a little success in the passion area. Not the thing that God has really called us to do, but the things that we like doing, the things that we want to do. So you know what? He'll let us have a little success, writing a book where we're supposed to be a motivational speaker, right? And he'll let us have a little success on being a motivational speaker when really he's called us to be, to be on the back to serve somebody else, or to serve somebody else's company, or, whatever it may be. But what he does is he'll give us a little success in the area, all right, to blind us from the fact that that's not even the thing that's going to take us to our optimal level of our gift and talents. Because he knows if you get to the optimal level of your gifts and talents, you're going to not only gain more affluence, which is get paid, but also have an influence that's beyond what he wants you to have. Because your influence is rooted in your belief in your faith. And he doesn't want that because the more influence you get, the more you're going to talk about your faith. So what he does is he lets you experience a little success in your passion to keep you focused on that and not on your purpose, which is the thing that you're supposed to be doing and the thing that's going to take you to the level that God wants you to go. Misplaced gifts. We're in the right room, we're just sitting at the right table. You're supposed to be doing music, but maybe you shouldn't be trying to sing or rap. Maybe you should be writing it, right? You're in theater, but maybe you shouldn't be trying to act. Maybe you should be trying to be a creative director, a producer, writing scripts, right? Let's go ministry. You're working in ministry, but maybe you should. Maybe you're not called to be a pastor. Maybe you're not called to be a uh, a spiritual leader in the realm of teaching and running ministry organizations or nonprofits or anything like that. Maybe your best here. Can I help somebody as just a number two? In ministry, it's hard because this idea of purpose and seeking out what God really wants you to do. It We think that well, some of us, I'm gonna say some of us think that we're all supposed to be all spiritual leaders are supposed to be or get to a platform where we have this crazy amount of influence. That's not how it works. You're you're gonna have God's gonna give you influence in the circle, in the world that He's called you to influence. And sometimes it's just not that big. And the thing about it is, your circle may not be that big, but the person that you influence may have the circle that's huge. So the influence that you're pouring into that one individual is being is having the overflow or carrying over into a much larger realm and audience. And you have to be comfortable, right? You have to be comfortable being the person with the small world, the small circle of influence. So those individuals can go out and change the world. And guess what? Your hand is still on it. Your influence is still, though they have their own voice, it is your influence that's pushing their voice forward. And understanding your gifting in that is powerful. It's powerful. And I'm not going to get into the way of really dissecting misplaced gifts because I'm getting ready to do a framework on how that works. But I will say this: clarity is vital. Y'all hear me say this all the time. The two greatest gifts I believe God gives us is outside of obviously Jesus, but the two greatest gifts God gives us is the ability to create and clarity. Clarity because um, we're able to see exactly what it is God is trying to pull out of us, right? And then creativity because it gives us freedom. It gives us freedom to do to it gives us freedom to walk in purpose, but to walk in that purpose the way we choose to, right? It's one thing to say, okay, I'm walking in my purpose as an artist, right? If you create art, I believe that my art inspires, and God created me to create art and pictures and visuals, and it inspires others. It gives hope, right? But at the same time, you do it the way you want to do it. You create it the way you want to create it, and that's the beautiful gift that God gives us. Is that it's inspirational. Your call, your purpose is to be an inspiration through art, but He gives you the choice of how you create that, how you do it, what pictures to create, how to use your canvas. So I think it's vital that we understand that misplaced gifts are are important to that we have to understand that if we're going to maximize our creativity, we have to understand how misplaced gifts can be a hindrance to us getting to where God wants us to be, or to getting to the place that's going to influence people in the way that God intended us for them to be influenced. Okay, and let's just say you're listening. You say, like, Coach Lou, I get it. I'm not really faith based. I'm not really Christian or anything like that. Okay, that's your prerogative. Even at the same time, understanding that using your gift the right way to fulfill your purpose is going to optimize who you are as an individual. It's going to optimize your influence, and it's going to maximize your affluence, your ability to create cash flow for yourself. Right. So I think that we need to there needs to be a grasping and understanding on misplaced gifts, and I'm gonna do a framework on how to properly decipher, right? How to properly do like this idea. It's not my idea, the process of elimination, but as it pertains to misplaced gifts, this idea of process of elimination, right? And it really has a lot to do with the story you tell yourself. There's a lot to do with the story you tell yourself, which I'm gonna do a episode on eradicating limiting beliefs, limiting belief systems. So, all right, listen, that's all I got for you today in the huddle. Listen, if you haven't already, you know what you need to do: subscribe to the channel. All right, so you don't miss a thing. We're going a whole new format. We're going to change some things up for you. But listen, I love you. I'm praying blessings over your life. Until next time in the huddle, I'm out. Peace.